How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
As a general philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. That's exactly right. You're a fish. That's still my favorite part of that, by the way. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. I am Preston Johnson, hanging out with the Qwan Young, my client. I'm not sure what they're officially called when you're laying on the couch doing sports betting therapy. We got to bring some sort of segment and regularity back to that. If you go 0-3 again this weekend for Qwan Show, maybe that's when we bring it back. It's you going with me, like, hey, I do this new show. I'm 0-6. I can't pick winners. Help me. We'll figure it out. Qwan can't talk. Is your mic not working?
No. Oh, there we go.
There it is. It's good.
I feel like you're doing some foreshadowing right now because
I mean, we didn't even talk about it. I'm just kind of spitballing.
But it's still my luck. I told Preston before we went on air that I thought about taking the Giants today. So I think that's why he started spitballing.
No, I just heard the fish part, and I was like, that's true. And then I realized, oh, yeah, didn't he just start his own show doing NFL? He went 0-3. If it happens again, you're going to be approaching me.
Yeah.
Like, session on the couch. Just got to make it happen.
We might bring back Qwan Face today. I got an opinion on the game.
I mean, you said might bet Giants, but yeah. I mean,
I'm still listen.
I'll tell you. I'll just get into it, and people can call in the meantime. 661-515 bets, like we usually do. We take your calls. We talk through your bets. We have a Thursday night college football game as well tonight, outside of Giants, Washington, Ohio, ULL. The Raging Cajuns, two teams that have looked absolutely horrendous through both of their first games. I think it's an intriguing line. It's also moved down some. Ohio's been bet. But Giants, Washington, he says, hey, I almost bet Giants today. He's like, Danny Dimes is 4-0 against Washington. I bet you Patrick uses that when he calls. I was like, I don't think Patrick's using 4-game samples when he does his assessment of NFL games, but we will see. But it sounds like you want to bet the New York Giants. Like, you're not, like you said, we're going to do a Qwan Fade segment. I mean, it's done then. You're betting the Giants. There's a couple plus fours. There are still a few plus fours.
Yeah.
You have something else.
We're not set in stone. I'm on the fence, and I can't be a fence rider.
I mean,
and so I'm going to take this show. I'm going to take this show that we have today. I'm going to listen to the callers. I'm pretty sure you're going to touch on it. So, we'll decide towards the end of the show.
Okay. We'll give you a couple of minutes at the end. Who called in, by the way?
It's Jim from Philly. He's excited about being first.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's no prize for being first, Jim, but go ahead, put him through. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah, man. How are you doing today?
He was lying. I'm good. I'm practicing my rock, paper, scissors.
I feel like we should do that every day one, Qwan. It actually was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's way better.
And I can't do trivia forever, and I was too lenient otherwise, remember? Like, I was, trying to give them hints. Look, I can't give them a hint. If I go rock and they say paper or scissors or whatever, it's easy to just go with it. Anyway, sorry, Jim. Sidetrack. You keep practicing. In the meantime, what are you looking at for today?
Oh, man, I guess it was perfect timing because I like the Giants.
Okay, well then, Qwan's already laughing. All right, tell us why. I think it's unique outside of, yes, Danny Dimes has done well against Washington. Doesn't really mean a ton. It's only been 2 years. So what's up?
Yeah, so when I looked at the games last week, I thought the Chargers actually should have beaten them worse, Washington. I thought the Giants-Broncos game was a lot closer than it looked. Also, the Giants' pass protection actually improved. They definitely weren't as bad as they were last year. Galladay actually looked really good. And I think Washington's just really bad. I mean, you're talking about an offense that was not good last year, that needed my 4-11 Eagles to tank a game to win a division. And you can only ride a hot defense in today's NFL for so long. So
a couple of things. I actually agree in general with the sentiment here. So let's start with the Washington defense. Look, they were young. They were like top 3 in a lot of metrics last year, but also when you go through the schedule, like 6 of their 16 games were against backup quarterbacks because of their opponent either being injured or some sort of COVID-related something or other. So nearly half of their schedule was made it a lot easier for their defense to grade so well. If you adjust for that, yeah, sure, they're probably top 10 still, but they're not as elite as they were. Then you look at the Chargers, and it's like, wow, the Chargers only scored 20. You know, Washington's defense is still there. Too bad Fitzpatrick got hurt. You nailed it. Look, the Chargers, I believe, 9 total possessions. I'm doing this off the top of my head. If I'm wrong, someone can tell me. 9 total possessions. They punted once, 6 of them in the red zone, if I recall. And they only got 20. Like when you're in the red zone 6 times in the NFL, like you're scoring more than 20. They were turning it over, penalties, this and that. So they absolutely, I think, outplayed Washington to a higher level. I'm not sure the Giants are any good. I'll kind of leave that as we'll see. But I agree in the sentiment that Washington, based on some of those numbers, just even going into this season and the expectation their defense would be elite again, probably wasn't going to be the case. Now no Fitzpatrick. Look, they got outplayed pretty heavily despite only losing by 4 last week on Sunday. So I am with you. We will lock you in, Jim. There are +4s still on the Giants, so we'll give you the +4, and we'll see what happens.
I'm taking the money line.
Oh, gosh, he jumped right to it. All right. Let me price that out for you.
Can I get a +175?
I can give you plus. I don't see that on my screen. I can give you +171. Does that work? Similar.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, +171. He just thinks this is going. Wow, Qwan's getting excited. He's doing up the Qwan Fades graphic right now over there on the side. Hey, Jim, thanks for the call. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, guys. I'll see you.
All right, so we dove into it pretty heavily there. I mean, I think it's definitely Giants or pass. Do you want to just lock it in now, or do you want to hear a few more people? Maybe there's someone out there that makes a case for Washington. You said you love Heineke.
Yeah, I do. Man, listen, man, he climbs the pocket. He improvs. He makes plays. I can't put my finger on it yet.
This is where I'm at.
From DC.
This is where I'm at. Even if Fitzpatrick hadn't gotten hurt, I think this is probably supposed to be more like 5. So are you saying that the difference between Fitzpatrick and Heineke is only a point? And by a point, we're talking 5 to 4. That's like not even 1. No, it's probably a little over 1%, maybe 2%. So it's not a huge move, not like a 2.5 to 3.5, right? Like that's a lot different. That's going to be more like 10% to implied win probability. We're looking at a 5 to a 4. Like I think it should probably be closer to 3. You can get the 4s. There's a few more. A lot of the market went to 3.5. I think it's the Giants. Qwan wants to keep thinking before he locks it in officially. I'm just going to ask him about it every few minutes. So who's up next? All right, Ken. What's up, man?
Hey,
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks. So I wanted to give you a pick, but then I also wanted to comment on something you were talking about last night yesterday on your show. I didn't get to see it till last night.
Okay.
But first is I'm gonna be on board with you with Toledo -14. I think Pinnacle dropped back down to 14.
I can check that for you.
14.5 was a little bit out of my range. Pinnacle 14 is.
Yep. I can give you. There's also a 14 -110 at, for example, South Point in Vegas has it. I'll give you 14 -110. You'll be good there.
And then my other comment was, you guys had a conversation about Cincinnati, Indy Saturday, and it's sneakily a lot has to do, I think, with what Colin was talking about the other day, where Cincinnati's first road game as a away favorite, the numbers kind of sneaky low. Everyone is on Cincinnati. I haven't heard a single person that likes Indiana.
That's what I was saying,
sticking
too.
At 3.5. Yeah, but it fits perfectly with what Colin was saying. So I could see Indiana getting up, kind of rowdy crowd there, and Cincinnati having more trouble than they thought, getting down to maybe a last-minute field goal, winning by 3. Very sneaky 3.5 point that I would stay away from, but it wasn't said last night, and it just kind of fit in with his narrative that he was talking about. So.
Yep, no, I'm glad you brought it up, and again, I think it's just a total stay away too. I'll say this, I had someone message me as well after they listened that did bet Cincy, pretty sharp, shout out if you're listening, Elijah. He said, The biggest factor for him, and I'm reading it directly from my phone right now, is Indiana's offensive line weakness. We already knew they couldn't run the ball last year. They were one of the worst, bottom of the country, running the football. Now the O-line, through 2 games versus Iowa, but not only that, again versus Idaho, allowed a 40% pressure rate. Now they're playing Cincinnati defensive line. If they can't protect Penix, let alone run the ball, which they can't do regardless, he just thinks there's like a floor for Indiana's offense that might exist that we're not really capturing yet in the market. He could be right. I'm staying away, like you guys said. But it was at least one argument I heard on the Cincinnati side that made some sense from an X's and O's scheme standpoint. So anyway, thanks again for the call, man. Good luck tonight, and we will talk to you later on. See ya.
Okay, bye.
Who's up next? Throw him in. Andrew, welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing well. What are you looking at? You going to go football, college, pro?
I'm going player prop for tonight. I do want to comment on the fact that I definitely think Giants are the side here, but I can't trust either team. I just think it comes down to whoever wins the turnover battle. Both great defenses,
Sure.
Quarterback plays. I mean, Taylor Heinicke's very mobile, very nice for a backup quarterback, but I think him being successful last year kind of makes him a little bit overrated in my eyes. But with that being said, since both defenses are stellar, I think he's going to have to dump it down to the backs a lot tonight. So I like the over on Antonio Gibson's receiving yardage prop.
Ooh, interesting. All right. What are you seeing as far as the line goes for that? I'm going to look it up too.
I saw it earlier today at 18.5. I don't know where the juice was at with it. I can look it up if you need be.
I'm looking it up now. All good. Running back, receiver props, Gibson, receiving yards. Just a second. I can give you a 17.5 minus 120 if you want the extra yard.
Even better.
Okay.
He had about 5 targets last week, I want to say. He's a wide receiver converted to running back. He's got great hands. I know J.D. McKissick took up a lot of that work last year. They put a lot more trust in him. As far as the playbook this year, third down protection, stuff like that, you want to see improvement from a rookie. So I think this cash is probably about first half.
Do you prefer, just throwing the option out there, 2.5 receptions to 17.5 yards? Have you thought about that yet?
I have not thought about that. I think I like the yardage just a little bit better.
Okay. We'll lock you in for that either way. I just was bringing it up. People can attack it both ways, one or the other. Sure. I generally, when I have liked prop angles like this one you're throwing out, I hate to get like the bad side of variance and not attack it in as many ways as possible. Doesn't mean I'm betting more. Say I was going to bet $100 on it, I would go 50 and 50 or something, right, on receptions and yards.
Sure.
I would just split up. So I do. That's just why I brought it up for people that are listening. You can make your own decision. But I would hate for him to catch 3 or 4 balls but somehow land 16 yards, just because they were all shorter. There was good contain, and you lose, but he was targeted 5-6 times and caught 3 or 4 balls, etc. So I think it's fine to have both. Just throwing it out there. Appreciate the call, man. Good luck tonight.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Who's up next, Qwan? Who do we got? Patrick, welcome back to the show. You going to tell us Danny Dimes is 4-0 against Washington? Oh, no. I don't hear him.
Hello?
There he is.
Sorry about that. I had my headphones on. I am
All
not
good.
going to tell you that, but I am going to play a Danny Dimes prop, though. I'm going to play his rushing yards over 20.5, which is at FanDuel at minus 110. If you look at the last 5 games where the Redskins faced a rushing quarterback, and I have these stats here. I'm prepared. 67 yards for Kyler Murray, 53 yards for Lamar Jackson, 74 yards to the same Danny Dimes, 34 yards to Jalen Hurts, 52 yards to Russell Wilson. And Danny Dimes, he averaged 30 yards per game last year. So I'm not sure why this prop was set so low on FanDuel. I know DraftKings has it around, I think it's 23
couple
or 24
yards higher
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would line that at least 25. So I think there's some value there at 20.5.
So you guys, I'm going to pull this one. Shout out Scott Blumstein. Just threw this into a thread I'm in with some poker guys. I didn't know this. He didn't qualify for enough attempts, but did you know that Daniel Jones led the NFL last year in yards per rush attempt? 6.4, I believe, is the number.
I believe.
Lamar Jackson, who did have more attempts and qualified, was 6.2. And then I think it was Kyler Murray, and then it was J.K. Dobbins, I believe, was the first running back and third. But Dimes, if you just throw out that he only rushed like 50 times, and if the qualifier is 100 plus or whatever, he didn't. But look, when he does run, it's as efficient as anyone in the entire league. Literally number one last year in the NFL.
As long as he doesn't fall down on the 10-yard line. That was one of maybe the most hilarious highlight of last year.
We need to have that handy. We should be showing it right now, like across the screen. The GIFs and memes that generated from that moment will live on in infamy. We'll lock you in. It was 20.5. What was the juice? Can you repeat it for me, Patrick? Was it just minus 110?
Minus 110.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can I ask you about a look-ahead line for next week that doesn't make a lot of sense to me? And I want to see if I'm
NFL?
off on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Bucks plus 1.5 at the Rams. I mean, that seems like that should be flipped to me. I mean,
especially if we like the Colts anyway to some degree.
Value? Yeah. I mean, there's not going to be any value lost in the Bucks this week against the Falcons. So, I mean, I can only see that line going up.
I'm doing a little bit of quick math. 3.1. Hold on a second. Yeah, I would make the Buccaneers like a 1.7, 1.8 point favorite off the top of my head. Somewhere in that range, 1.5, 2. So getting the plus 1.5 now, like it's not awful. And if the Rams look as bad as we're hoping, then maybe you even get a bigger adjustment your way, right? Like maybe it's Bucks minus 2.5, or maybe it's even pushing 3 if it really gets that ugly. So we will see, but definitely I don't think they should be dogs.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And if anyone is watching and has a few of the books offering the look-aheads for Week 3 NFL and can tease the Buccaneers up to 7.5, that would be, I think, more valuable. He's still on the line.
I can't tease that. I can't tease that far ahead.
I'm not sure if they allow it either. I haven't been really doing look-aheads regardless for a few years. But there's a few places, like even offshore or whatever, that have it at least listed. You can test it out.
And couple that with the minus 7.5 with the Ravens at the Lions. I mean, that would be.
There you go.
Well, actually, I don't know, but
that might be the one game somehow Qwan's Lions figure it out.
No.
Yeah, probably so. All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, actually, are you still on, Patrick?
Just hung up.
Dang, it's okay. I think it's interesting. I feel like a lot of the sharp people were betting the Titans, and it went to like 5.5. And it Seattle got re-steamed back, and I've just been saying look, Tennessee looked so bad that their bottom, I don't know.
Offensive line looked terrible.
Up to 6.5 now, some places again. I'd probably have to buy Tennessee at 7. I'm not stupid, but I am surprised, unless there was some injury news in the last few minutes or something. Seattle's been moving up, so just interesting. Who's up next?
We got Carlos.
Carlos, welcome back to the show, brother. How you doing?
What's going on, Preston? So listen, real quick, because obviously I'm at work, but I'm not in the bathroom. The Washington defense is really suspect, and I'm a Washington fan. So, and I know we can't go down 0-2, but our schedule is tough after this game right here before our bye, and then I'm just a little worried. I think Danny Dimes, they always play. They play tough against us. So I like the over 40.5 tonight. I'm not betting on my team. I never bet on my team. So I would take the over 40.5.
Okay. Do you think Heineke can move the ball enough against the Giants then in the end?
Yeah, like one of the prior callers said about dumping it off to Gibson and McKissick. I think that's going to happen. It just finished right downpouring down here not too long ago. I don't think it's going to really affect anything because all the shadows are moving out. But I just see some points. I see something like 23-20, 24-17, something like that. So.
It's worth noting that Circa, for example, one of the sharper books that takes bigger limits, at least in Las Vegas, they're sitting 41. Most of the board is 40.5 for what it's worth.
Interesting.
They haven't gone any lower, so maybe that's a good sign for Carlos. maybe that's a bad sign for Circa. I don't know. We'll find out. I would tell you this. My projection, closer to where they opened it, I think it was 43 and a half. Mine's 42. So I do agree with you, Carlos. But for me, not quite enough to bet it. If I could find a 40, I would bet it. The amount of times it pushes on 40 versus not on a 40 and a half is the difference for me in it being profitable or not. So I've kept an eye on it, but I do like your side to some degree.
Cool. Thank you,
Good luck, man. We'll talk to you later on. We'll lock you in for over 40 and a half.
Got you.
Who's up next, Qwan?
We got Connor.
Connor.
Caller.
He is a new caller. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Preston?
I'm doing well. What do you got for us today?
Couple things. Ohio, Louisiana tonight. Do you have a projection on that game?
I do. It's like 19, which is kind of where the number's gone to, 19 and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because Louisiana is Louisiana's EPA on run plays is like one of the worst in the country to start the year. So I don't know if you pulled the latest data for 2021, but I'm seeing they're like 125th in the nation in offensive running or defensive EPA for running. So I think Ohio might have a chance to have some success on the ground here and keep it close. And the totals come down a little bit too, which kind of helps. I think Ohio plus 19 and a half is not a bad play. I make the number more around 14.
So real quick, I have them defensively overall, it looks like 108th and 117th against the run. It's worth noting, like they played Texas and Texas just crushed them and like ran like no other, and that's a lot of it. But when they played Nicholls State, and this is why I said at the beginning it's a really intriguing game. They looked horrible against Texas. This is a team that's top 25-ish. Beat Iowa State to open last year. Like since Billy Napier got there, Lewis at quarterback, like they've been fantastic. They get crushed by Texas, who then we see get stomped by Arkansas. And then Louisiana against Nicholls State gets outgained by, I want to say it was like almost 100 yards. And they got the win by 3, I believe. But it was not a game that, like if you look at the box score, they probably should have lost it. And then Ohio on the other side get crushed. And was it Duquesne that they just played? I think it was.
And TCU beat them by like 45 last week.
Hold on, I'm pulling that up. So they lose by like 20 to Syracuse, who's no good. And then Duquesne, in Ohio. But I will say this, Ohio outgained them like yards per play by like 2.5. It was a weird game. Ohio only held the ball for 17 of the 60 minutes. And they were 1 for 7 on third. Like they were gaining on first and second down. I think they were just pretty unlucky on third. Here's where I'm at, though. Both teams, regardless, you can't lose as a 28.5-point home favorite to Duquesne. And that's what happened. But also ULL can't get outgained by Nicholls State after getting embarrassed by Texas. So I think both teams, I've lowered them down similarly, where before the season I probably would have had this around 19 or 20. Now it's around 19, 20. I don't know what to do, probably just watching it, hoping for another data point that's helpful going forward. But if there's one coach / scheme that I just trust more to bounce back, so to speak, I think it would be the Louisiana side. So, again, I don't have a real opinion, but if you made me pick it, I think I would just lay it, go against the move. If this somehow got down to like 17, then I'd maybe really consider Lafayette. But I can give you 19.5 on the Bobcats, plus 19.5 is there, and we'll see. We'll see if you're right, but I'm staying away.
Yeah. Real quick, too.
Sure.
So Colin Wilson hates Billy Napier, and after that App State game last year, I think I hate Billy Napier, too. He took a safety on that in his own territory. That was
yes, I know the exact play you're talking about.
Yeah, and then what about the South Carolina Georgia under 48? I don't see how South Carolina is going to score in that game. And South Carolina's defense might be better than we think. I think you kind of throw out last year as a data point because COVID year, and also Muschamp was just awful as a head coach. So do you have any feel on that under?
The market has moved that way. I know it was 48.5. There's 47s now. There's even a 46.5. So I will preface this with saying if you're able to stick around for like 5 to 10 more minutes, we're having Pikachu call in. I know he's betting the total in this game, and he's going to break it down. So rather than me doing it for him or doing it twice, I'll just say stick around. He's calling in about 5 or so minutes, and then we'll hit on that game.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Preston.
Yep, no problem. Take care.
Bye.
We'll take 2 or 3 more callers if we can fit them in before he comes on. We have 5. We'll try to blast through them. Who's up next? All right, Cam from New Jersey. What do you got for us today, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing
Nothing
well.
official. Nothing official yet from me. I agree with, I believe it was Carlos a couple of callers ago about the over in tonight's game, but nothing official. I'd actually thought about a side total teaser, teasing the Giants up, teasing the total down.
Someone did that yesterday, I think, on the show. Matt, I think Matt was maybe his name. Yeah, he teased it down to 34.5, and he took plus 9.5. So he tried that.
Yeah, I like that. I usually don't like teasing side and total same game, but I did it for the first time ever on the Sunday night game last week, and it worked. So, but nothing official for me today. I wanted to give out a play for Sunday, but before I do that, I wanted to know your take on a game for Saturday. I believe it's, what was it? The Penn State Auburn game, if you have any take or.
I do. We talked about that one on Monday some, and Penn State's been getting money. It's down to 4.5, 5 some places. I came in pretty bearish on the Auburn side, and they've played essentially 2 FCS games so far, and they've looked fine. But I think this number should be closer to 7, and I like the Penn State side. I think they're just better than Auburn. Bo Nix going into, I believe it's a wideout, and a team that's actually already been tested already, this Wisconsin game, and then even last week, Ball State would have been by far the best team Auburn played so far this year. So I think my 7 number, I feel pretty confident in it. And Bo Nix not being able to throw a football very well on the road, and that sort of like home field advantage is making a comeback thesis from Colin. It was referenced earlier from another caller. I just got to go with Penn State, but the money was coming in at the 6 on the Auburn side, so moved down, but I like the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I saw it come when I saw it at 6.5. I liked Penn State under a touchdown, and then I checked today and it's 5. So I just wanted to know your take on it. I agree.
Yep.
For Sunday, I will give out Philly plus the 3 at home. I wanted to get it in now because it seems like it's more likely to go to 2.5 than back to 3.5.
Yeah,
so
it has gone to 2.5 some spots as well. So.
Yeah, I'm seeing 3 minus 115 on Caesars.
I can give you one. I can give you a 3 minus 110. They're still minus 110.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll take that.
Cool. Any reasoning real quick before we got to let you go? Eagles, you're just going to ride the wave after seeing them against the Falcons?
Sort of, but I also think the Verrett loss is big for San Fran as well as Mostert, even though the backup Mitchell looked pretty good against Detroit. And how much can you really, put stock into that? But I just think Mostert out for a while is going to hurt them. And even the coaching staff doesn't seem too high on Sermon. I believe he was a healthy scratch last week.
It might be again because they just signed some someone named Cannon or Connor yesterday off the waivers. So, yeah, they don't – whatever's going on with Sermon, it's very intriguing, but
Sermon
we'll see.
Or the second-year receiver from ASU, Ayuk, I believe.
Yeah.
He didn't get many targets last week, so I'm going to ride with the home dog here.
Sounds good. We will lock you in. Thanks, man. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
An unintentional Qwan needle.
Listen, man,
the Detroit
I'm a Rams
Lions.
fan. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Matthew Stafford forever. All right, let's take one more caller, and we'll see if Pikachu calls in. Also, Pikachu, if you're listening and want to just wait 5 minutes, that would be helpful. There's a few people on hold. Who's up next? Alex, you said? Cool. Alex, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Preston?
Doing well, doing well. What do you got for us today?
I'm going to take the Giants and Washington over tonight.
Okay. Tell us why. I think that's kind of the side we're all thinking, but what are you seeing?
I think like Qwan said, Heineke likes to climb the pocket and he likes to push the ball downfield. We might see some big plays from them, maybe a handful tonight from Washington. And then same thing with Daniel Jones. They just signed Kenny Golladay. I think they plan to push the ball down the field a lot this year. And then introduce the fact that it's a Thursday night game. There's usually a lot of variance on Thursday night games due to the short week and the injuries.
There you go. Easy enough, straightforward. Appreciate the call. We'll lock you in 40.5. And if you missed it earlier, it's a buy for me. If it gets to 40, I'm watching the screen before the game starts. We got about 4 hours. I like it at 40. If it gets to 40, that's my buy point.
Awesome. All right, I'll be looking out for that.
Take care, man. Thanks again. All right, did he call in yet, Qwan? All right, let's take the next caller then. We're good. We got some time. Ty? All right, Ty, what's up, man? How you doing? What do you got for us today?
What's up, man? I'm just trying to take the Giants MLB team live right now. What's the best number you see?
Oh. Are you in the car?
Yeah.
I love that there's someone in the car trying to live bet the Giants while listening to our show and calling in all at the same time. That's dedication. Multitasking. I'm pulling up. It's almost loaded. I can give you minus 112. They're vigging at minus 112 each way. I'll give you minus 110. Why not? Minus 110.
Sounds good. I'm in for that. Thank you.
Okay. Quick. Nice. Good luck. We'll probably know the result of this before the show's over, Qwan. It's the 7th. Is it the 7th?
All right.
No, it's the 3rd inning. It's the 3rd. Never mind. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Good luck, man. We'll talk to you later. Above the listing, 7th inning is Angels White Sox. I just flipped them. Oh, it moved to minus 108 before you hung up. I'm going to give him minus 108.
We got Brian from New York.
All right. Patch Brian through. Welcome back to Last Word, Cheetah, man. How are you doing?
Hey, Cheetah, how you doing?
Doing well. What do you got for us today?
I had no idea what I was going to do when I called in, but I am just going to go with a tie with Giants money line live, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do Padres live then.
Why? Just because you had nothing else and you're like, well?
Yeah, I was going to go with the Patriots, but I'll just get that in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I got my Dodgers division bet hanging like barely with a chance. So
We finally got the Giants to lose a game yesterday. It took 11 days. Yep.
They don't lose.
All right, well, let's root for another loss. I'm with you. Let's go Padres. Minus 116, up 1-0 in the 3rd. We'll lock it in.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Take it easy.
That's what I call inspiration. These guys are.
It's a sign.
Yeah. We got Hayden from Dallas.
Cool. Let's put him through. Hayden from Dallas. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I gave out an absolute loser yesterday. Cincinnati +1 in the MLS. Cincinnati didn't play their best striker, and they lost 4-0. So
it happens.
It's tough. It happens.
Did the other match lose? You liked an under as well. Did that one win?
I think it was like there was a red card, and it was the under loss in the first half.
Oh, okay. So it didn't matter what you picked then. Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah. No, just all losers. I think a couple callers have mentioned kind of the same kind of thing, but I want to go the New York Giants team total over.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so pegging Daniel Jones specifically, I can give you 17.5. Yeah, any thoughts? Anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Washington Chargers over last weekend just based on, like, the Washington defense, kind of the variance, young, can't really sustain that. So kind of same angle here, riding it again, just with the Giants team total instead of the whole over. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool. No, I don't mind it at all. 17.5. There's some 18.5s, but there's a spot offering 17.5. We'll lock you in. Good luck tonight, man. We'll talk to you later.
Juicy. Nice to see you.
By the way, the juice, Qwan, I think you just wrote it down, is minus 112 for that over 17.5. But I think it's better than minus 110 on 18.5 for a team total. Anyways, you never know. Could land 18. Who's up next? Or is Pikachu on the line? All right. Easy enough. Joey, You are through to the show. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What do you got for us today?
Want to go with the under 50.5 in the Niners-Eagles game.
Ooh, I think that's opposite what I've heard some others picking. I believe it opened 46.5. It's been moving up. Now it's probably near the top, so maybe you're correct. Break it down for us a little bit. Why do you like under after we saw from the Eagles and some injuries on the San Francisco defense side?
Yeah, both teams, they don't blitz a lot. I think they're both bottom 4 in blitz rate, so they're dropping 7, rushing 4 a lot. Also, offensively, they both don't take too many shots downfield. I think last week, Eagles had like an average depth of target of like 4 yards only, so I think it's going to be not a lot of explosive plays.
That makes some sense. I believe there was also a stat with Jimmy G didn't throw a pass further than like 15 yards down the field too for San Francisco. Now, they didn't really need him to regardless, but interesting. I'll just say I respect the contrarianism because it's just been moving up. It even settled at 48.5, moved up even more. You can get as high as 50. So I will give you an under 50 for Niners Eagles.
All right, sounds good.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, cool. Tom, welcome to the show. As usual, what do you have for us today? What are you looking at?
Looking at two different ones. 196, Ole Miss.
Okay. You want to bet the side or the total?
Yeah, I like the side. And
Okay.
then I'm trying to pick between which one of these I want to play. At 204. Get your thoughts on UCLA.
It moved from 10.5 to 11, and it's just been kind of stagnant there since. I prefer the over in that game. We talked about it yesterday some, and on Tuesday, actually. Someone called and asked about the total in that game, and I agreed. I liked over 60. It was 62.5. Even 63s out there right now that you can get. So I would say, personally, Ole Miss slightly, because you can get a 14. There's a lot of 14.5s. I still think, man, we talked about Ole Miss before the season, Qwan. You know, Matt Corral was my only Heisman pick. Look, they went from a top 20 team for sure, in my opinion. I think maybe they were 17th or something on my list. Now, for me, they're top 12. Their performances after 2 games, they've moved up the ranks, and then some teams have dropped. Tulane, the Oklahoma one, I'm not sure if that's more fluky than anything, but I prefer that one, Tom. So if you want to go with that one instead, I think Ole Miss is a slightly better pick.
Yeah, that's what I was leaning to. That was my first one. Yeah, let's go with the Ole Miss, see if they can get that offense keep rolling on.
That sounds good to me. For context for everyone listening, if you're a little bit confused, I wouldn't bet either of those. They're not ones that officially make the card, but that's the one of the 2 possibilities that I prefer. So, Tom, appreciate it as usual. Good luck today, the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
And let's go Padres. We need to go and get that
Yes.
division.
We finally got a loss last night. Dodgers take care of business. One more of those today, we'll be in okay shape.
Need for the Giants to hit that skid I was telling you about. We're in business.
They're certainly due for a skid, as Carlos would say. Tom, we'll talk to you later, man.
Blowing in a little bit. Appreciate you. Peace.
See ya. We got Pikachu on now? All right. Let's bring him in, as usual, for those that have missed it the last few weeks. Every week during college football, we do a tail-end segment with Pikachu because he has a tail and also because he likes betting these tail-end games, low totals, extremely high totals, extremely high point spreads. Today, there's actually 4 we're putting on the board. And Pikachu, welcome to the show. You are through. Let's just start with your what's going to be weekly UConn fade. And then you can get into more detail on the other 3. But Army minus 34, let's start there. Is it just going to be a weekly thing, or were you actually just joking about that?
Well, depends how they do going forward. But for now, I'm not really joking. Purdue put up 49 to zip, had EPA sort of stats off the chart. I think Army has a pretty stout defense on their defensive line per usual. for a good service academy school. UConn I just don't see any sign that they're going to get better. And I don't even think Purdue's defense was that great. I think it was mostly UConn sort of shooting themselves in the foot. You have drop passes. You have running up into a packed box. They really don't know what they're doing. I mean, if you watch film on these teams, which I force myself to watch UConn every week for the season, the floor is really low. So yeah, it's a running joke now. I mean, if they ever show a pulse, then I might back down a little bit. And of course, if the numbers get wildly out of hand, if we're starting to lay like 43s, if you're starting to lay like anything past 42s or even like in the 43 range, I'm not going to like hammer it. But Army against last game against Western, they did a decent job until the very end where it's like sort of collapsed. I had Army -6 over there, some -4s that didn't end up covering. I don't think that's really going to happen again. I don't think UConn has any talent to really like pull something backdoor. So Army at 33.5, 34s. I would not go past 34.5. No 35s for me. But I think this is going to be similar. Garbage time by half, 24, 27 zip game at halftime. So give me the Knights, man.
Two things. One, this is a lot better than your alien voice from last week. So well done on that front. Two, this feels like Army's going to be up 35-0. UConn's going to have a moral victory drive. They're on the Army 30, 1st and 10, and they bring out the field goal team with 30 seconds left to get the moral victory field goal, and you're going to have to sweat a 47-yarder from, I don't know, probably a local soccer player at the Parks and Rec field. First one up for the total. Go ahead.
There's no moral victory here, man. I mean, UConn ran 16
get on the board.
On special teams.
Well, they ran, get some points on the board. There's got to be something.
15 plays on special teams. I mean, I don't. Well, we will see. We will see. But for now, I would ride the train. Yeah, we'll see when the wheels come off. Been good so far.
Let's start with the next two totals. Let's go South Carolina, Georgia, because we actually had a caller that liked under. It was 48 yesterday. It's down to 47 most spots, even one book that is offering a 46.5. So it's moved down.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts. I think you like the other side. So break it down for us.
Yep. So I do like the other side. And this was a team that everybody really liked preseason, right? I believe you gave out season, regular season wins over. I bet conference wins over. And so far, the offense has shown us not a lot, right? They played UAB last week, and the range was the totals for that was also in the 46 to 47 range. And I had it highlighted, and I thought they would go over because everybody was a little bit, I think, overreacting from the 10-3 Clemson showdown in week one, where UGA knew they needed, if they didn't keep the Clemson offense under wraps based on how slow they play, nothing was really going to happen. So I had this earmark last week and didn't really do much, and then it flew over because UAB just let them in for anything, and the entire second half was basically garbage time. UGA went 45% success rate in the first quarter and 23% in the second quarter, and then the stats don't even show up for the third and fourth because you just rate them as garbage time and nobody really cares. The handicap here for me is that I think there's still a little bit of overreaction based on how slow they play, but South Carolina I have rated a few spots lower than UAB. So if it's going to be the same game script, and I feel like it will be, there's a little bit of news today with Stetson Bennett saying he might have been injured, but then you actually read the article and it seems like kind of clickbait. JT Daniels is getting healthy too, but I don't think they bring him out here in this spot where they clearly don't need him. 47.5 or 47. I think UGA can really run anything they want on South Carolina the same way they did it on UAB. So it becomes a matter of what sort of game script are they going to run? Like, when are they going to back off? And can South Carolina really put anything up? And if South Carolina gets 7 to 10 points on this, I think this will fly over, no doubt about it. The second half will likely see if Stetson Bennett is not 100% and he does super well. You might see the third stringer go out. I don't remember his name. But I like it. I think there's this little bit of an overreaction just based on how slow UGA plays, but that offense is legit, so I'll buy them at this number.
So I've had some trouble with trying to gauge the drop-off from, so for example, if JT Daniels was playing, assuming full health, I think this should be like 51.5. Now, I think there is a drop-off to Bennett, and then you're also trying to figure out, okay, well, how healthy is Bennett? And quantifying that for me, it's similar when we talked earlier this week on the Boston College Temple thing. I feel like I'm extremely my projections with Temple are untrustworthy. Plus, I think the drop off for Boston College Jurkovich, I'm not 100% sure what to make of that, and so I'd prefer to just wait it out. So for me, yeah, if it was JT Daniels, this is way low. Bennett, and maybe not 100% Bennett, but 90% or 85% Bennett. I think it's probably close, but if anything, I would be playing over. So just wanted to point that out for people that are listening in. Second total, you have Utah, San Diego State, under 45, mostly 44.5, 44, but there are a few 45s left. Break that one down for us. I liked Utah early in the week. That's one that has moved up quite a bit now to 9 most spots. But the total, hopefully the Aztecs just score 0.
Yeah, I don't actually think Aztecs will score 0. I mean, I certainly hope that would be the case now that my bet is in at 44.5. This one, shout out to our boy Tailgate10, who actually put it out for me to go look at. I thought the number was kind of fair, but then there's some, after doing a little bit of like more advanced box score diving, I think this one can really go sort of like a 27-3, 27-7 type game. Utah, I bought early in the week too, right there with you, Preston. I got some -7s. That one's left up a lot. Needless to say, they did not start out great against BYU at all, but they sort of picked up the pace in the second half. And then, if the game goes on for 1 or 2 more quarters, I think Utah would take that one with ease. And San Diego State's defense on the other side, they've only played cupcake teams. They went to Weber's. They went to Weber. They went to New Mexico State. They went to Arizona, 2 easy blowouts. And I don't think that's just playing cupcake teams. I think their front seven is decent. Their havoc rate is up there with mediocre to average teams. And I think Utah won't be able to run whatever the hell they want on the San Diego State defense. Both of these teams play extremely slow as well. And I think if Utah can get up a decent amount, they can run the ball and just run clock, and San Diego will do the same. So that's sort of like the handicap there. It's just these totals, when they get to this region, that's kind of like the whole point of the segment. There's not a lot of like data or past experience, so you have to sort of go off of like more softer subjective feels, because I think everything decays at the tail ends, and that's sort of the entire point. So I'm like taking a little bit of a stand here. I will say, to be honest, it's not a full play for me, but I do think both of these defenses can do a decent amount of damage.
This is of the ones that you've put on the board for the day, the one I'm closest to making a bet for what it's worth. I do think it's too high. Just sheer numbers spitting out something like for 41.6 or 7, something somewhere in that range where it's 41.5, 42. So getting a 45, I think, is probably a buy. There's only one of those, I think, in the market, but 44.5 is closer. But this is one, interestingly enough, despite even liking the favorite earlier the week. I do agree. UNLV, last one.
It's always it's a weird spot to like the favorite and the under, but same here. I have this 27 to 3-ish. Yeah.
People can try to find a team total for the Aztecs and go under. That would be kind of the correlated, liking the favorite and the under, but that won't be up most spots till tomorrow or Saturday regardless. So last one, we'll wrap it up with this. UNLV, my former local team, 31.5 almost everywhere. There's 132 though. You like the ugly dog. Iowa State certainly going to bounce back after getting embarrassed at home to Iowa, rivalry game, college game day, right?
Yep. Of course, they're going to bounce back. I think Iowa State can put up a decent number of points, but look, I think UNLV has a pulse. I really do think they have a pulse. They covered for the first time in a long time last week, which may not be the best time to jump on, but voodoo trends aside, they passed for nearly 40% success rate against Arizona State last week, and not allowing Arizona State to really dictate the pace and really tell them what sets to run, I think was kind of impressive. Yes, they gave up 400 yards. Yes, they only drove for like 150 themselves. But if you really look at like sort of the underlying things, I think it only takes maybe one or two stops and one or two short drives for the Iowa State side for UNLV to get underneath this number. I mean, the 31.5 is just so high that if you gave me 30, I would probably say no. If you give me 31.5 in a game that I project around 28 to 29, I will take it. It is thin. Iowa State is in a get-right spot. The narratives really don't play their hand into where UNLV has been a gross team. They dropped the early OT game to Eastern Washington. I mean, they look so gross. But I think sometimes when they look this gross, but some of the underlying numbers do go their way, they can pass and they can rush for a decent amount too. The rushing game on Arizona State last week was higher than I ever thought they would be able to put up. So it will be a blowout loss. There's no money line. There's no team total angle or over or totals here. But I think 31.5 is a little too high. And even though Iowa State is pissed, if UNLV can give them 2 scores, 10 to 14, this will stay within the number, I think.
Okay, so 31.5, there's 132. I'm staying off for now, but I thought your point was interesting. Look, I'm 29.5 is my fair, so it's not enough. It's close, though.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Your point about when you get into spreads this high, and again, kind of going to the point of the show, like how are you handicapping not only just big point spreads and game script and, hey, fourth quarter, Iowa State might start resting guys or just running the clock up 28. But you hit on it where like 2 drives, like if UNLV gets 2 stops, just period, like it's going to be really hard for them not to cover 31.5 points, right? So it's one of those where if they can just have 1 or 2 plays slip their way or get 2 stops, or maybe they're able to score 2 TDs, 17 points, or what did they end up having against ASU? 10 or 17. I forget what it was. If they can score twice, get 2 stops, like they're probably going to be right there. So, I think that's just interesting when you look at it in a long like game aspect of, all right, what does 31.5 really mean? It means Iowa State has to win by 4.5 touchdowns or more. And if you're only getting X amount of possessions anyway in a game, UNLV will try to slow down. You kind of do some math. UNLV will probably score once or twice. 2 stops might get it done.
2 stops, and again, I think 7 to 10 is a key number here for UNLV to put on the board. If they don't get 7, it's tough. It's tough.
Of course. Yep. Cool, man. We appreciate your time. As usual, people can follow you at Pikabets. We'll get you next week for more tail ends. Good luck this weekend.
67%, baby. Keep hating.
That's true. He did go 2-1 again. I forgot to say at the beginning. So he's just rolling 2-1 every week. People just crush. Remember, I think I said he's probably going to go 2-1. I would be surprised if he didn't.
Nobody's going to take it seriously, right? Because of the voice thing, and then
yeah.
I think the voice.
It is more serious now than the alien voice. I think you stick with this.
Scared. It's like if you don't bet it, I'm going to come to your house and break your leg.
Yeah, I might call you secretly in the same voice when you're not expecting it. All right, take it easy, man.
All right, see you, man.
Sorry, I had to stretch a little bit. All right, Qwan, we don't have anyone on the line, right?
We don't.
Okay. Qwan fades. Do we have the graphic handy? No, it's fine. It's been a few weeks.
Boom.
There she is. All right. Now there's a reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
You heard some people talk about the game.
Man.
I think it is. Look, Giants +4. I think that's a worthwhile edge. Smaller. Over if it hits 40. Liked the Giants angle with the team total over.
The Antonio Gibson prop looked good.
You like that one?
Yeah. Man, so I'm sitting here listening to Pika talking to Deep Voice. I'm doing some of my notes and looking at research. And I just think Daniel Jones has their number. And I know it's crazy to say, man, but he's 4-19.
That's what you told me an hour ago. And I was like, look, dude, it's 4 games.
Like,
it's not even the same coach for Washington for 2 of them.
They beat them twice last season. And it's those things where.
Who was the quarterback for Washington when they beat him?
Heineke was, I think, in the second game. And I don't remember the first game. Who was
Dwayne Haskins? Like, he's not even in the league anymore?
I mean,
I just don't think you can put a ton of stock in.
No, and that's the thing where I'm still. Like I watched a bit of the Giants and the Broncos, and the offensive line kind of held up a little bit. And Washington against the Chargers, like you see all those stats from Herbert. They stuffed the run, and then they were able to beat them in the air, or hang with them in the air at least. So
one of the first callers or second caller, that's why I decided to like put it in that context of, I think the Washington fade is totally warranted.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to think about the Giants, but I definitely think there's some stuff to back up, like, hey, Washington, the Chargers probably should have won by like 2 scores at least. Real quick. They played Washington last year. They won 20-19, and that was week 6. And then they played them again in week 9. So I don't think it would have been Heineke, right? And they only beat them by 3. So they beat them by a combined 4 points with pulling up the quarterbacks right now. Alex Smith.
Come on, man. Alex Smith.
You're gonna say, wow, Giants beat Alex Smith in the year 2020 and be impressed?
Good, but Alex Smith.
Keenan Allen. No, not Keenan Allen. Kyle Allen. Keenan Allen plays receiver. Kyle Allen and Alex Smith were the guys they beat by a combined 4 points last year.
Alex Smith is a good beat. He's not a good quarterback, but he's not a terrible quarterback. Like, you're not.
Kyle Allen actually had way better stats in his game that he played, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can. For one, it doesn't actually impact the result of tonight regardless. But 2 of the games 2 years ago was a whole different scheme and coach, so I don't even think those count. Washington was way worse. And now the 2 last year, barely winning those games against Alex Smith and Kyle Allen. Look, now it's only Heineke, so I guess you can just say, like, hey, we're in the same boat, and I think the Fitzpatrick thing's going to catch up to him. And again, I lean the Giants' way, but you can't come out saying, I think Danny Dimes just has their number.
Man.
That's not why you make a bet.
Like, there's some quarterbacks that you just can't beat, and you can't understand why. And I think going 4-0, and they won. I think the Giants were what?
I know we need to end the show and do betting extraordinaire soon. The reason why, and this is a really hard concept for people to grasp, especially people that aren't like regular bettors like yourself. The reason why Daniel Dimes seemingly has their number, and that just happens sometimes, certain teams or quarterbacks has another team's number, is the same reason when I walk through the casino and a roulette table happens to land red 8 times in a row. That is generally the same thing. So there's going to be weirdness that happens in the vacuum of variance. And the universe just coincidentally had the Giants and Danny Dimes beat Washington 4 times, but it doesn't mean that they will then have their number tonight. It doesn't mean that it's going to go red the 9th time on the roulette table, as I watched there, because it had gone 8 straight reds. It doesn't influence the next subject. And so I know that, no, but look, so-and-so pitcher, like the Cardinals for years, I mentioned it yesterday on the show, always had Kershaw's number in the playoffs. And then you look and it's like, okay, it was like 3 starts and all of them were in the 7th inning or later when Kershaw was worn down. So actually they didn't have his number really. And it was 3 times. Anything can happen 3 times in a row. So anyways, that's my little rant on variance.
Anything can also happen 5 times in a row. We're going Giants.
I'll give you the 4. Money line, all right. You got the plus 171.
Plus 175. That's my bet for the Quad Show, too. I didn't get to put the Bucks and Cowboys in last week, but
I'll root for you. I have no reason to root for Washington.
I have no reason
just trying
to root either.
Contain. All right, we got to stop. We got to lock this feed, put up the next stream because it is day 2 of Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. 5 of you were correct yesterday. Day 1 made it through, trying to ladder up for $25,000. Thank you one more time to Pikachu, as well as all of the callers earlier on the show. We will lock this up one more day this week. Tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, Last Word Cheetah on Bets TV. I will be breaking down my side if I had to pick in every college football game for week 3 and my round robin underdogs on the money line. We'll catch you tomorrow there. Padres up